Simon Russell-Beale and Matt Smith would do it. They'd just be chatting to each other and just having really lovely chats, and you just sort of sit there and listen to them, and they'd be laughing and joking back and forth. Then the bell would go.
Jack Parry-Jones is a Welsh actor known for House of the Dragon, Hijack and Our Girl.
Are there any common patterns of behaviour or thought processes you see working with young actors at drama school which you think are unhelpful?
Jack received critical acclaim for his role in Moondogs, which resulted in a Welsh BAFTA Award for Best Actor.
So it's not just for graduates, but I would say that it's like I've been doing this since 2012, and I would say that I do it as well, but it's trying to get it right.
He's worked with the likes of Matt Smith, Idris Elba and Simon Russell-Beale.
Jack Parry-Jones, welcome to the Actors Actuality Podcast. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I love that we've got to do a hello at the beginning of this, despite the fact that we've done a hello before this.
That's very true.
Didn't happen. What are you talking about?
No.
Yeah, I don't do these kinds of things. It's just like that. It opened my eyes immensely.
It's behind the curtain.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Yeah. So anytime that I see a podcast, I'm going to be like, lies.
Lies.
Fake.
It's all a lie.
Lies.
Yeah. I think we'll jump straight into the questions. So first question, being in a show which has millions of fans, such as House of the Dragon, is there an additional pressure considering the sheer number of people who will be watching you, the budget, the scale of the sets, and the amount of people that are working on it?
So, yeah. Yeah, because, they are, like, it is huge. Like, they are huge shows, and, like, you do get, but more than that, it's actually quite exciting. But I think that is because I'd worked on a number of things up until then. So like I'd sort of built my way up to that huge show in a way that was actually really nice and organic, which meant that I got used to each stage. And I think that I did Hijack before House of the Dragon, and then you go on to that and you're like, okay, this is huge and this feels absolutely massive, but it doesn't feel like a pressured thing. It just felt really exciting, because like I'm a nerd and I wanna be a part of those kinds of things, and I want to see those sets and I want to try those costumes on, and like it was really really cool. But then I'd say first day was a bit pressured, because the way that they give you script is that they only give you your scenes, and they give you your scenes behind a sort of password on like a site that you need to access, and so you go, right, okay, so I've only got that stuff to go on. I was lucky in that I went to the read through. And I sat in the read-through, and then in another scene, they mentioned my character and like the atrocious things that my character had done. And I went, didn't know that. Okay, logged. And so you go, right, okay, so now I know that stuff. That means that changes the character just slightly, not much, but just enough. So you've not got the full script to read in order to access, because they have to keep it secretive. I completely understand that, because people love it so much, and like even on one of the days we were shooting outside, and there were like planes going over the top trying to get photos and stuff like that, and so like you're like I've never experienced that level before. It was insanity in some ways, but I remember the first day, because I was there with Matt Smith, Simon Russell-Beale, and you're just kind of like, okay, so these two are like awesome at what they do, so now I've got to sit here and try and be awesome with them. And I remember for the morning, because we spent like a full day shooting one scene, and I'd never really experienced that. Like a lot of my stuff had been sort of indie stuff, so it's just like, right, that's done, let's move on, we've got like another 8 scenes to do today. And so having that time, kind of like sitting there and going through and going, okay, so we've got this time. And it meant that the morning was entirely wide shots. And I just remember like sitting there going, I am messing this up so badly. I'm doing such a bad job. Oh my God. And I got so in my own head about it, because we were in Harrenhal. We were in this huge set with so much detail and so much stuff, and then you've got the costume, which is really heavy. Like no wonder people don't gesture that much in that show, because it's like, and I had the wig on. I'd never worn a wig before, and like I had a beard that I hate having facial hair, so I was like, oh, I've got a beard for this. I don't like having a beard. How does it look? And like, you start worrying about a million and one things. And then I remember I went and we had lunch, and I went back to my trailer, and I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I was just like, you can do this. Stop messing around. Get out of your own head. And then the afternoon went miles better. And then I was only on it like sort of small parts after that. But it was just like, oh no, this is like, I then remembered that this is immensely fun. And like our job is amazing. And that I've actually got the job. I don't need to worry beyond that now. I've got the job. So let's actually be creative and like, enjoy it. But there is still that sort of, that pressure, there. But I think that it comes from putting that pressure on yourself rather than anything that anyone else is trying to do. Like, I've never really come across anyone who's tried to do that to me. It's always been a self-inflicted thing. So I think that it's just important to show up and kind of go like, all right, okay, I know what I'm doing. This is going to be fine. No one's like, no one's going to torture you or anything like that. And like, everyone was really friendly and really lovely. And it was honestly one of the nicest sets I've been on, because it was, and you wouldn't normally expect that for such a machine, but it was a really lovely set. And so like, once you relax and you go, okay, I can do this, I think that giving yourself permission and going, I can do this, is a really important thing. Or at least it was for me on that job. But yeah, it was just really exciting once you get over the enormity of it.
I guess it's just that mindset shift of like, even though the sets are far larger and the caliber of everything that's going on is extreme, it's still the job that you know how to do and have been doing for many years. And I guess it's just like you did in your trailer, like flicking that switch, going, no, I can do this and I can enjoy this, and I've done it before. It just happens to be grander, but the job itself is the same, and I can do that, and then the fun comes out of it. So that's really encouraging to hear, I think. Yeah.
You have a list of evidence that you've done this before.
Yeah.
Rely on that. Use that. You mentioned earlier about a read through, and then you shot. I think it was like you spent the whole morning doing one scene. Did you get any rehearsal time, or was it straight into shooting?
No, you do get rehearsal time. You always get like a little bit of a rehearsal, but different. Like, and like they want to get into the right space and the right sort of place, and like the directors, like what was difficult about that was that the writer's strike had just come in. And so I think that there was just like, I think that people were feeling the pressure of that, but it still ran like any other set, but it was just bigger. It was just bigger, and you spent a full day on one scene. That was all it was. So, but in terms of doing the job is exactly the same as you said. It's just like I've still got to do my preparation. I've still got to do my stuff the way that I would. But it's just, yeah. And I think, you know what, in terms of like research and stuff, it was the easiest job I've ever done. It was the easiest job because they've got like the Ice and Fire wiki page and stuff like that. You can literally search your character, and like they'll give you like mountains of information about the world and about all of this stuff. And so even though I'd watched the show, I was like, right, okay, so now I need to know more about it. I need to know like how far it is to travel from place to place, all this kind of stuff. Because I wanted that to sort of impact maybe the mood, because like how far have you traveled to get to the place to then have the meeting? And I was like, okay, so if I've been on horseback for that long, I'd be like, oh god, I'm a bit miffed about this, like whatever. That's a really basic way of looking at it. But I think that it was really easy to research, because people, like, they put so much info up online about it. But yeah, the fan reaction that I had was really lovely as well. And it was just this amazing experience. Like I really loved it all, and I was absolutely gutted that I got, like, spoiler, but I got killed off. And I was just like, oh, I would have loved to have been a part of this for just a little bit longer, and I would have loved to have done more scenes with it, because I was just like, I loved that character, and I loved working with those people, like getting to watch people like Matt Smith and Simon Russell-Beale up close. Like, oh, it was really cool. It was really like you're watching people who they know exactly what they're doing, and it was just class. It was class.
You had a pretty cool death though, getting beheaded by Matt Smith with that scene. Again, spoilers, but that was a pretty cool death.
I got the full Game of Thrones
that was
experience, you know. Yeah, it was wicked. It was wicked. Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Good.
It's class.
Hello, we hope you're enjoying today's episode of the Actors Actuality podcast. We just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to you about the Actors Actuality newsletter.
The Actors Actuality newsletter comes out twice a week, Monday and Friday. Subscribe below. You mentioned earlier about fan reaction. I'm interested to know about reviews as an actor. Do you read reviews? If so, why? If not, why?
I would like to say that I was one of those actors that don't, and I'm just like, oh, just ignore it. I do, and I've had things that I thought were really good that had terrible reviews, like 2-star reviews, and I was like, it wasn't a 2-star film. I was like, it was better than that, but like, you know, like, you can't. I think that I try to steer away from them now, because at the end of the day, it's just someone's opinion, and just because you've got that opinion, it doesn't mean that you're right. It just means that that's your opinion. And I've read reviewers of like other things that I've watched, and I've gone, that was not a very good film for me, or that was not a very good TV show for me. And then you read a review and they're like glowing about it, and you go, okay, but that wasn't what I experienced. And then I've had other things that I've watched where I've gone, oh my God, that was so unique and amazing, and he was this and he was that. And they've reviewed it really poorly, and you go, "What? How did you miss what that was trying to do? What it was trying to put together?" And you just kind of go, "Okay, so it's just your opinion." And why? So basically, you're just being paid to give your opinion, but it's just like I sometimes think, and I've read reviews from people at points, and you just kind of go, I really think that you've missed the point of that. And I've also read reviews from people that have been absolutely spot on as well. But it is all opinion. And I think that's just always that's what's difficult about our industry, is that it's not like other industries. You can't just go, or like, you know, it's not black and white. It comes completely down to what that person feels about it, how they feel about watching it. And like, you know, I've had like debates with people about certain films that they've absolutely loved, and I've gone, oh, that didn't do anything for me. But it's just this thing of like, people get so passionate and so like, and again, that is a wonderful thing, but at the same time, it's like, it's make believe, so let's all chill out. But it is like, you know, people go, oh my God, it was this, it was that, it was the other, and you just kind of go, well, yeah, it was that for you, that's great. It just didn't do that for me. So I'm trying not to read reviews. I'm trying to go off what I feel about it. And if I watch a thing and I go, that was really good, and I really enjoyed what I did with it, and whatever, and I think that it's been a good job, great. I also try to be honest with myself when I watch a thing and I go, I wasn't very good at that, or that I go, I wish that certain parts of what I did were better, and you kind of try to critique in order to improve. But then actually that then becomes about, right, okay, so I'm looking at it in terms of a professional development standpoint and going, I want to improve at this, rather than taking what other people have said. I'm still probably going to read reviews because it's just the temptation that is there, and like, you know, people put things up, and you're like, well, I have to know. I don't know why we have to know, but we do. But yeah, I wish that poll didn't exist to read them. I'm gutted that poll exists to read them, because when they're not good, oh my god, it hurts.
It's one of the only jobs where you get publicly criticised for doing a quote unquote bad job. Like when I work in the stock room at my retail job, if I don't find a piece of clothing, it doesn't get blasted online. Do you know what I mean? They just give me a bollock in there, and no one else knows. Like it's quite a weird situation, I always find.
Yeah, it's a weird job that we have, but you know, this is just it, and we've got to kind of, I think you've got to accept everything with a pinch of salt, and you've just got to go, right, okay, that's how you feel. But then I think it's about actually being honest with yourself about what your feeling is about it, not what others are. And there are people in my life that I trust. There are people in my life that will give me honest critiques about things. And I will so I did a film years ago called A Kind of Kidnapping, and I was part of a couple that kidnapped a politician for ransom. I loved the film, right? I thought it was a really good film. I thought it was really funny, and I was really proud of what I did within it. Some reviewers didn't agree. Some reviewers didn't like it. Some reviewers described my character as being a bit wet and a bit weak and a bit this and a bit that. And you just kind of go, well, he's just not like alpha. I hate the term alpha, but he's just not that. But actually, what we're trying to do is different, and I just think that they didn't quite see what I was trying to do. Whereas my nan watched it, and I thought my nan was going to absolutely hate this film. And she loved it. She was like, that was, and you know what, I don't know whether to take offense to this or not, but she said, that was the first time that I've watched you, and I could see nothing else but the character. And I was like, that's great. I've been working for 10 years before this, though. And I was like, okay.
Backhanded compliment.
Yeah, a bit. But I know that she meant it in absolute, in the best way possible. But that's just kind of, that was really lovely then, and that kind of overrode all of the stuff that all of the negativity that you see, and actually people that I really trust, people that I really love, and that are honest with me, really enjoyed the film. And anyone that I've spoken to that has watched it, they've gone, oh my god, that was awesome. And you go, oh great, cool. So I'm going to trust your opinion, and maybe maybe there are parts of what was being said that I can listen to, and I go, oh, okay, maybe there's critiques there that I can take on board. But it's also that not every review is helpful to you either. Sometimes they say things and you're like, well, I can't do anything with that. Okay, cool, move on. But they do hurt. Bloody hell, they hurt. Stings like mad.
Has that you mentioned that you watch stuff back and sort of criticize yourself. Has that changed how much you do that throughout your career, and the way you do that? Do you do it more now, or do you do it less now, or how do you judge yourself on watching your work compared to when you first graduated, for example?
I think I've got better as I've got older, and I think that it is because of that self-critiquing thing and wanting to get better at this. Because I remember when I left drama school, and I didn't really know how to act on film, but all I really wanted to do was film and TV. It was all I could think about. And yeah, I did an audition for a thing, for a film, and quite a big film. I bombed that audition so badly because I demonstrated every single choice that I had, and the casting director just kept going, do less. And at the time I didn't have a clue what that really meant. Now I know, and I know that do less is not really the way that I like to think about things. It's just not demonstrating the choice, it's just doing it, isn't it? And but then that opened my eyes then, and I was like, all right, okay, so if I want to do this, then I need to actually improve at this. I need to get better at this. And so I did an absolute shit ton of just watching films, watching TV, and actually like watching, like really critiquing the things that they were doing. Then it became more obsessed with like how they're using shots. Then it became like camera angles, all that kind of stuff, and like you really become obsessive about it. But I remember thinking that very early in my career that it was about doing nothing. And so then I tried to do like this sort of still face, small mouth acting for a bit. And then I would watch that I would watch that back and I'd be like, that wasn't very good. Because there's just nothing going on. So then I improved from that. There was then also stuff where I allowed my own vanity to get in the way. Where I did an episode of Holby City. And I'd always had a thing about my teeth because I'd had braces twice, and I just had this thing of like, I don't like my teeth and I don't like seeing them. I feel goofy, and then on Holby City I could feel what I was doing, and then I watched it when it came out, and it was out on national TV, and I watched myself kind of do this thing where I was like talking like this and trying to like hide my top teeth, and I watched that and I hated that more. And I was like, I hate that you can see that I'm trying I hate that you can see my own vanity rather than seeing the character that I'm trying to play. And then there were moments where I could see the character and I was just like, oh, that's better. That's actually it. But it was all learning curves, and it was all just sort of, just watching stuff, and even stuff that I've done well and I've watched and I've gone, oh, actually, I think that, or even stuff that has done well might not necessarily have done well because I was good in it. It might have just done well because the show was just a good show. And actually, I sometimes look at myself in it and I go, I could have been I could have contributed better to that. But I think that we do need to be honest with ourselves and actually go, right, okay, where are the points where I can improve? Where are the points where I can do things better? And sometimes you will be too harsh on yourself, and I have been harsh on myself, and then years later I've gone back and I've gone, oh no, actually that was all right. And sometimes, like with hindsight, I look back and I go, no, that was really good for where I was at that time. That was really good then. I would do it differently now, but at that time, that was as good as I could do then, and I'm proud of the work that I did. But yeah, I don't think that I critique as harshly as I did back then. I think that I've got more knowledge now, and I think that I've got more understanding of what makes a thing good and what makes me good at the thing that we do. Whereas earlier in my career, I had a sense, I knew that watching it, I was going, that doesn't feel good, but I don't know why. And so it was a learning curve of going, right, why isn't that good? And just like, and sometimes getting it completely wrong as to what I thought, why I thought it wasn't very good. Yeah, but it's all just gaining knowledge. That's it.
We're taking a quick pause from today's episode to talk about our collaborators for this season, Actor and their Pay What You Can scheme.
Actor have kindly given us a special Actors Actuality exclusive link for you guys to increase your chance of being selected for their Pay What You Can scheme. Whether you're looking for headshots, voice, song, or monologue reel, Actors Pay What You Can initiative means you'll get the same quality and care as a full price reel, but for a price that you can afford.
Of course, the Pay What You Can scheme is very popular, so by using our link, you'll be being referred by us, giving yourself an increased chance of being selected for the scheme, plus you'll be giving us a bit of a kickback, which always helps.
I actually got my first ever headshots with Actor back in 2021 when I was a young boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's it, to be honest. That's all I had to say. Check out their link in the description. It's a great initiative.
Yeah, that makes sense. Has the label of being a BAFTA winning actor affected your view of yourself in a positive or negative way?
Yes and no. Because I won that in 2017, and it was my first film, first time that I'd been a lead in a film, and I was like, I was really excited by it, and then to get the nomination, I was like, "Oh, this is incredible!" And I went to like the party the week before, where like they give you a goodie bag and you get like a bottle of whiskey and you get this and you get that, and I was like, "This is class." And then actually showing up to the awards, I showed up in a like there were other people in like really expensive stuff, and I wore like the best suit that I could that I could wear, and I was like, okay, I'm in like a tux, I feel smart, this that and the other, and I remember that no one was really interested in me beforehand. I remember being stood there with my family just in like the corner, just sort of like, oh God, this is so weird. And it like Wales as well, like a lot of people know each other, a lot of people have worked together, and at that point I hadn't really done a lot of work in Wales. And so like now I know so much more of that Welsh community, and it's fantastic. It's such a lovely thing. But at that time I didn't feel, I think it was my own confidence as well, that I didn't feel that I could like really walk into the room and be like, hello, like, it was just sort of like, oh my God, it felt so daunting. And then winning the thing was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It was a huge shock to me. I got on stage, I swore, of course I did. I think I said something like, oh, I'm shitting myself. And like, I said some words, but I wasn't expecting to win. And then I was just like, I was absolutely floating for a few days after that, because you win this thing and then you go, oh, okay, this is proof that I'm good at what I do. Like, people can see this now and they can go, oh, he's good, we should see him. Just didn't translate that way. And I think I didn't work for maybe like 9 months after that. I think I did a short in that time, but I didn't work. And I was like, oh, okay. So I've won this thing. I thought that was going to be like a bit of a badge that I could wear, and like people would be like, oh yeah, get him in. But like it just didn't happen. And so it became this thing that I think over years that I resented a bit, that didn't push me further. But actually, now with hindsight, now with like, again, years and years behind it, that I look back on it, it's a thing that I'm really proud of. It's a thing that was like this huge thing that happened to me. But it's not the most important thing. I think that what happened for the years after that was that I was allowing it to define me a little bit. That I was like, well, I've done this now, and I just didn't feel that I was living up to it. I didn't feel that I was living up to that sort of badge of honor that it was. Yeah, and I just think that now I look back at it and I go, it was a really cool thing that I won it, and it's cool that I won it at the age that I won it, and I'm immensely proud of it. And I think that before winning it, and probably for a little bit afterwards, I think that I wanted that again. I wanted to I was chasing that sort of like, I want to win awards, I want to be an award-winning actor. And then you just hit this level where you go, oh, I just actually, it really proved to me what was important to me. And what's important to me is actually just, I love working, I love being on set, I love creating things, I love making characters, I love all of that stuff. That's the reason why I do it. And so that became the sort of lesson from it. So actually there was a little bit of like, oh God, this is not as good as I want it to be. And then there was also the now I look at it and it's like, it's a really cool thing. But yeah, I had to go through a bit of a journey of kind of going like, and I think that just speaks to how difficult our industry is that, because I thought that was going to be the thing. That was going to be the thing that like people went, oh yeah, he's good. But it's just like, no, it doesn't do that necessarily for you. Yeah, it's weird. It's such a weird thing. And then I was talking to someone the other day about it, and I was just like it proved to me that like awards are not the thing that I want or that I need. I mean, I'll take them if they're coming, but like I was talking to someone who was from, I think they were from Egypt, and they were saying, well, actually winning a BAFTA for me could mean like getting a visa. Could be like a really good thing to put on a visa application. And I was like, oh God, I didn't think about that. That's actually, and like, you know, so there's a huge amount of meaning to it, but like I think that it changes from person to person. Yeah, yeah. So don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to win more, but I'm not chasing them.
I think there's a really important message there for young actors, that you can't be motivated by extrinsic things. You have to, like you said, afterwards you realize, I just like the craft and I just want to act, and that's what motivates you. And I think a lot of people graduating drama school have this vision and have this want of adoration, awards, and obviously it's context dependent, like you just said about the other actor from Egypt you met. But if you're motivated by those things, your motivation would die out straight away. You have to go back to the crux of the craft. Why did you start this in the first place? Because we found these first 3 months since we graduated, I mean, like very little actual acting we've done. We're mostly working, you know, muggle jobs. But the motivation to do the craft is there, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really important lesson for people to know.
But it's like when I first left drama school, I didn't work. I didn't work at all. I didn't work for the first year, and so like I went and got a job in Marks and Spencer's in Cardiff, where I'd have to get up at like 4:30 in the morning in order to be able to like travel down there to like, because it was miles away from me, and I'd travel down, and I remember like being so upset that I was working this job, like stacking shelves in the morning, absolutely hating it. But then I worked with this woman called Linda. Always remember Linda. And she worked fruit and veg, and I got paid with her. And she'd worked this job for years and years and years. But if you saw the amount of pride that she took in that job, and that, like, actually, I have never walked into a Marks and Spencer's and another Marks and Spencer's in my life and seen a better display. She was, and like that was me. Like I've taken that forward, because I've always gone, actually, it doesn't matter what job I do, I want to do a good job. And I think that like that was important, and that actually made a huge difference to my mental health then, because then it meant that even if I wasn't acting, I was still taking a huge amount of pride in whatever I was doing. Because like it started as like this thing of like, God, she wants me to do this, and like, you know, it's only stacking shelves, and then you actually get into it and you're like, oh no, actually, like if I do this, then actually like more things get sold, and if I do this and that, and like you really do start to see the work that goes behind it in order to and like there was a tremendous amount of thought that went into the way that Linda did things, and I was like, oh my God, Linda's class. But I think that, like, you know, we can very easily get down on a normal everyday job, when actually like that should hold, like we should take pride in whatever we're doing, I think. I don't know.
You're serving your community.
Some people might listen to that and just be like, God, this guy's a dick, shut him up.
No, I actually agree.
I agree. Yeah. So moving on to like skill sets and technique and stuff. What are the different skill sets needed to be a day player, for example, like on Death in Paradise, compared to like a series regular on Out There on ITV? What are the different skills and techniques you need to do those effectively?
So they're not really different. It's just different attitude. Because like out there, I wasn't on there that much. Like I think a lot of my scenes for like episodes, maybe 2 and 3, like I shot in like a day. It was like a lot of the police stuff was just done in one day. We just blasted them out, and I was like, oh my God, cool. I was like, wicked, wonderful, move on. But like that, and that still felt like, and then I'd come back maybe like 3 or 4 weeks later, and then shoot more stuff, but like, so that didn't really feel like being a series regular as such. And like, whereas Death in Paradise is a tremendous amount of fun. I love doing it because you get to go to Guadeloupe, and I think that I was immensely lucky that like we had a cast of people who just all got on, and we were all in like these sort of chalets that were all like facing each other, and so we would just go around each other's places and have drinks every night, and like, you know, you'd go and swim in the sea in the morning with turtles and all this kind of stuff. Climbed a volcano. Like it was all really immense fun. But that was us just sort of like in this one sort of cauldron, I suppose, just all together, and like, you know, it was lucky that we all loved each other. But in terms of if you are a series reg, like you show up every single day, and I think there's pressure on both, because I think that you show up every single day, and like if you're number one on the call sheet, you've got to carry that. Like you're just as much as the director, just as much as anyone, you were a part of creating the culture on set. And the way that people are together, they do take that from like the people who are higher up on the call sheet. They do take that from the people who are series regulars. And so there is a responsibility that comes with that you're like, okay, so I've got to be welcoming, and I've got to be like, you know, the type of person that makes this a nice environment to work, as well as showing that I've done my work. And like there's moments where it's a tremendous amount of work, because you're like, when I have been in things like, and you're in every single day, you're prepping stuff the night before to make sure that it's ready for the next day, and so you're not really getting that much of a rest. You're just sort of going, right, okay, and then I do this, I sleep, and then I wake up, and then I get in the makeup shit, and I do whatever, and you just crack on from day to day. So it's really, it can be really exhausting. And some of the best people that I've seen, like, you know, that are number ones, are just like you can see it. Their sets are just really lovely. I'd say like Matt Smith on House of the Dragon was lovely to work with, and like, you know, really welcoming, really friendly, and it meant then that I felt really relaxed. And I've had that with like a number of jobs as well. I think that most people are just lovely to work with. Whereas being a day player, and you've got to show up maybe for like just 1 week, or you've got to show up for a couple of days, that's pressure in a different way, because you still got to do all of your preparation, you've still got to do all of that work, but then you're coming into someone else's house almost, and so you've got to kind of respect what they're doing, and that it's also like, it's not your show, and you've got to fit into that whilst also doing the best work that you can do. And sort of like being true to what the show needs, being true to what the character needs, being true to like, whilst also kind of going, oh, I still want to do a good job and I want to stand out just a little bit, you know. So there is pressure with both. But I think if you just approach them in no different way in terms of your preparation, and when you show up on set, as long as you're friendly and you're like, you know, you're easy to work with, I think that the job is no different. But yeah, I prefer being a series regular to being a day player. Yeah, because just showing up for the day, I think that what happens then is that you get the flavour, you get that sort of like, and if you're on a good set, you're like, oh, this is really lovely, and I want to do more of it. And then they're like, and that's a wrap on Jack, and you're like, I was just getting into the groove of that. Okay, never mind, I'm gonna go. And so I think that's the thing for me, is that whereas like being a series reg, you do kind of like, I like feeling like I'm a bit a part of the furniture. And you know, you really get to know people, you get to know people's names, and like I think that being there for a week, just as you're going, right, I know your name, then suddenly you're done, and you're like, but I've just never mind. But then you always run into the same people. So, yeah. I don't know if I've answered your question at all there.
No,
Just like
you did absolutely. Yeah.
You arrive on set. How do you make sure between then and when the director calls action that you're focused, centered, ready to work?
That's difficult. That's a difficult question. It's not. So what I do, I like chat. I like chatting with people. So I'll always I'll usually try and chat to drivers in the morning, and then when I get into the makeup chair, I'll try and chat to makeup. When I see runners and whatever, I'll just try and like have general, just little conversations wherever I go. Because I trust that I've done the work. I trust that my work is there, and I'm like, right, okay, so I'm set for the day. So now all I need to do is sort of just get myself into a relaxed place. And actually, the way that I do that is by having conversations with people and just sort of like feeling that I'm relaxed in the environment that I'm in. And I will do that right up until we're rehearsing, and then you start doing stuff, because people there's always people coming up to you. There's people fitting the sound, fitting microphones. There's people doing costume. There's people doing makeup. You've always got, and directors coming up to you and chatting things through. So you've always got this thing of wanting to have conversations, and not necessarily just about the work, but just sort of just little jokes that you can have, and little things of how's your day going, and it just gets you into, what it does for me is that it gets me into that world of I'm listening and responding quite naturally then, and I'm actually I feel a lot more alive and with it, versus that if I just come in and I'm on my phone, which I have seen actors do. They come in and they're on their phone and in the makeup chair, or they're doing this and they're still on their phone, and then they show up to rehearsal and they've not really spoken to anyone. And so then you see them kind of go, right, okay, phone goes away, and then script comes up, and then they look at you for the first time, and then they're like, oh, and you can see that they're just not there. And so it just means that it then takes them a couple of takes to really hit the ground running. I think that's the lessons that I've learned over the years, is actually get yourself warmed up in terms of chatting, so that when you get into a scene, it just feels a bit more organic and relaxed. But different horses, different courses. Different people might be like, I can't really have the chat with people because it distracts me. But that's the way that I work. Because then it just takes my mind off the thing that I need to do, and then when I'm actually doing the thing, then I can focus. And I've seen a lot of actors do that sort of thing, where they are just chatting, and they are like Simon Russell-Beale and Matt Smith would do it. They'd just be chatting to each other and just having really lovely chats, and you just sort of sit there and listen to them, and they'd be laughing and joking back and forth. Then the bell would go to let them know that we're about to go for a take, and everyone would then start to get into position. Right, okay, we're rolling, we're doing this, like that, and then you'd see them. There'd be this sort of agreement that they would just stop talking to each other, and they would just get into this mode. So they'd be laughing, joking. Bell goes, and they go, action, and then it'd be absolutely wonderful. But I think that was an element of, and I don't know whether it's a conscious thing or not, but I think there's an element of kind of going, right, okay, I relax, and then I'm able to do my best work.
I guess it's really interesting what you say there. I guess like you say, by relaxing yourself, you're also waking yourself up in terms of listening to people and being actually connected with people, like you're saying, and so that you can do that as the character, and it becomes more easy. That's fascinating. And the fact that Matt Smith and Simon Russell-Beale do that as well, it makes sense. Relax and you can do your best work. So yeah, it's really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So moving on to a slightly different topic now. You teach at drama schools. That's how we know you. Are there any common patterns of behaviour or thought processes you see working with young actors at drama school which you think are unhelpful, and that you've seen a pattern of this across where you work?
Right. Okay. I saw that you sent this question, and I said this to my wife, and she was like, "That feels like a trap." Um, um, do you know what? I think it's I would say this for myself as well. So it's not just for graduates, but I would say that it's like I've been doing this since 2012, and I would say that I do it as well, but it's trying to get it right. And I think that then leads to this thing of like you then have a fear of failure, and like, you know, oh God, if it goes wrong, then you start to beat yourself up more, and then you're not thinking creatively. You're thinking in terms of there's a right way and there's a wrong way, and that can then shut you down to what your instinct is telling you to do, and it can shut you down to like what is happening within the moment. It can shut you down to actually like listening to the person that you're acting with. So for me, get rid of that sort of fear of failure, get rid of that that there's a right way and a wrong way of doing it, and actually get into the mode of going, right, okay, creatively, what's going on here, what can we explore, and what is in this scene that like, you know, then you get into the realm where you're like, you're making offers, and you're like, you know, you're making interesting choices. Yeah, so I think that would be my main thing. You might hear my son crying in the background in a second, because I think he's next door getting changed, and he hates getting changed. So
That's all good. That's really interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
Ready to move on?
I think so. Yeah, go for
We
it.
have one final short bonus question that we ask each guest, and it is this: if you could give one piece of advice or one sentence of advice to a young actor entering the industry today, what would that be? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. To a young actor entering the industry, I would say read about something and research other stuff that's got nothing to do with like that's creative, that's within the world that you do, but it's not acting. So for me, it would be writing. Like when I started to read about script writing and about storytelling and about all of those things, that's actually when my acting became better, because then I started to look at things in terms of going, right, what does this script and what does this story require from me as the actor? Where do I fit into that, and how do I help them tell the best story? And then you start to understand it, because then, like, you know, I'm now in a sort of realm where I'm trying to understand editing a little bit better. And that's opened my eyes in terms of like, oh, right, okay, I can see how, like, and like I was on set with a very, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, so I'm not going to, but I was on set with a very experienced actor recently who I greatly admire, like, absolutely amazing actor. But watching him sort of do this thing where he did his stuff in like one take, and it was this really long scene. And the rest, like, I've seen people kind of do this thing where it's just like, oh, I like to get the flow of a scene and stuff like that. This guy would just like, he would deliver a line and go, no, he'd go back a bit, and he'd, like, you know, he'd start again, and he'd find the journey of it there. And he'd just, like, it was almost like he was self-editing. And it was like, it was this fascinating thing to watch, because I was like, oh my God, because it didn't diminish the lines at all. And it was his take, so he was like, he can do whatever he wants with it. But it was immense to watch, and you're just watching someone who's like at the top of their game, just kind of going, no, I don't like that. I want to do it like this, and, like, you know, finding a way in, but like always thinking about what is best for the story and what is best to actually tell that story. Because I think that we sometimes forget that that's our job, is to serve the story, is not, like, you know, not the other way around. So I think for me, like read about things that are within the world, but not necessarily just to do with acting. Because then, like, you know, you don't know how that's actually gonna help you with the profession that you love. Yeah, I think that would be my advice. My other advice would be chill the fuck out. don't know if you can use that. I don't know if you're allowing swear words on your
absolutely.
podcast.
Yeah, that's great.
Cool.
Jack Parry-Jones, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Actors Actuality podcast. You can find all our important links in the description below,
such as Instagram, website, and the all-important affiliate pay-what-you-can actor link.